Different's great, but being different for the sake of being different, I'm not a big fan of, right? If you just want to be different for the sake
technology
of it. But
increased, I would hide behind it.
And you start to hear some of their challenges, and yes.
Because it speaks to the core of who you are and what drives you forward. Because what makes you different is what drives you.
What's up, everyone? Welcome to the Master Connector Show. I'm your co-host, Rob Genovesi, and I want to welcome you to the show. If you're tuning in for the first time, welcome. If you're tuning in for the 10th time, welcome. And thank you again for coming back. And listen, come back every week because we're coming at you every single Wednesday, 1 p.m. Eastern time on LinkedIn, bringing you amazing, amazing guests. Now, today's going to be a little bit different in that I'm flying solo today. So my buddy Steve, he's taking a little vacation to get away. He's flying somewhere halfway around the world. I'm totally jealous, but I'm sure he's going to have a great time and he deserves the time off. But nevertheless, we're going to bring you great value. And listen, today's episode is sponsored by Russ Hedge Consulting. Listen, if you haven't heard of Russ Hedge, look, he's all over LinkedIn. He runs a very successful podcast, runs a very successful consultant company, and you want to really connect with new customers. You want to transform your business from something that might be stagnant to something that is happening and making money and increasing profitability and connecting with more and more people, gaining referrals. Go to russhedge.com. Check out our buddy Russ Hedge, always a great loyal sponsor of the show. Thank you, Russ Hedge. And so, listen, we do have a great show for you today. And if you like today's show, or if you're familiar with the show, you want to see who's coming up in the future. We have great guests who are sharing their stories, their skills, their experiences. They're going to help you level up. Look, you can read a great book, and I recommend you do. But you want to tune into the Master Connector Show because we are going to actually be having people with the nuggets condensed into 30 minutes of what to do to succeed. And you can go to masterconnector.show and you can see who some of those people are coming up. We're booked out through the year. We got the next couple of months or so, 3 months on that website. So if you see somebody in that list you really want to connect with, make sure you bookmark your calendar to see that person. Come on live because we interact here. You know, we're looking not for LinkedIn lurkers, as Steve always says. We want people who are going to interact with us. So get on here, comment, like, share this out. Even after it's done, share the recording. If you got value, share this. Let people know the amazing thing you just learned and where you learned it from. Hey, we want to hear where you're tuning in from too. We got people tuning in from, definitely around the United States, but people coming in from around the world on occasion. And we want to increase that reach. So let us know where you're tuning in from. Because we always love to hear that. And if you have any questions for myself or for our guest, put them in the comments. We are going to want to be able to ask the questions that you have on your mind so that you can get out of this what you want to get out of this. Today's show is very, very exciting. This is a topic that, when I first started out in business, I didn't know what to do. I didn't know how to market myself. When I was in person, I didn't have a lot of client success. And what do you do when you don't have a lot of success or you don't know how to talk to other business owners so that you can network, get referrals, get clients? And I did something that maybe a lot of people don't understand. And I don't know how I found out about this. I probably read it in a book somewhere, probably saw it on a show like this somewhere, but I told my story. And I told my story of how I became a brand strategist. I'm a graphic designer by education, but how I became a brand strategist. The story that led to me evolving my company, 4Xing my income inside of a few months was big for me as a solopreneur. And so that story, when I tell people, you know what they say? They go, wow, what a great story. And they feel a connection. And I very often, if they're ready, if timing is right, they'll go, hey, what's the next step? And I get hired. So storytelling is very popular. It's very powerful, right? But knowing how to do it properly and effectively is the key. And that's going to be today's show. Build trust through real stories. And we got a pro on. And I'm going to tell you, a lot of our guests that come on the show, I haven't met. My buddy Steve, he's met a lot of these people. He is the master connector. Steve Spiro is the master connector, connecting with people every single day. And sometimes I'm meeting him on the show for the first or maybe the second time. But this guy, I met way back in 2019, the end of 2019, beginning of 2020, right before the world shut down. I met him in person, which is always a fantastic way to meet somebody in person. So I'm so happy to have him on today. We're going to get to him in a minute, but we got some people tuning in here. Oh, man, we have got our buddy Neil Wood. Oh, Neil Wood I met on LinkedIn. Wait, I actually like to talk to this guy in person. No, actually, I met him here on the show first, but, I follow him on LinkedIn and we go back and forth. He's coming in from Nantasket Beach, Massachusetts. Love Massachusetts. I got a child up there, or a grandchild up there. I got one of my daughters going to school up there. What a great place, Massachusetts. I'm not sure about Nantasket Beach. I know it's awesome because Neil Wood is top shelf on everything he does. So good to see you here, Neil. So I'm going to get right to it. I'm going to bring up our guest. Now, listen, David Vogel is the founder of Remote Video Testimonials, where he helps businesses turn customer success stories into a powerful trust-building sales engine. And through heirloom family documentaries, he helps families preserve the life stories of their loved ones, ensuring their memories and wisdom live on for generations. With over 25 years of experience in video production and video marketing, David has helped hundreds of companies, especially those with a consultative sales process, use authentic video stories to build trust, shorten sales cycles, and scale their growth. Whether it's helping a business grow or helping a family honor their legacy, David's mission is the same: to empower people through storytelling. Please welcome to the show, Mr. David Vogel. What's up, David?
Hey, Rob. Great to see you. Thanks for having me. Loving it so far. It's awesome.
Thank you for coming on. We just appreciate you. I mean, you were so gracious. We had somebody drop out and you filled in. And actually, when Steve texted me, he said, we had a guest drop out. What do you want to do? And I said, who do you got? And he said, how about David Vogel? I texted back at me. I said, absolutely. Get David on the show. Listen, audience, David is a pro, right? He's not a video guy. He's not just one of these. I know David. I know David's background, right? And let's get into that a little bit. David, don't you, what is your background before Remote Video Testimonies and all that? What did you do?
So I moved out to Hollywood in my early 20s to, you see, where is R2-D2 back there? So I saw Star Wars as a 12-year-old and fell in love with special effects. And so after college and not really enjoying my first job, I got the U-Haul and drove to California, to Hollywood, and started my career in special effects. Got to work actually at Apogee, which was where the original Star Wars was filmed. We had the Death Star there. We had the X-Wing fighters there. It was a dream job for me, and it was amazing to work with and collaborate with many of the folks that worked on the original Star Wars. So that was really where it all began, was, living out the Hollywood dream. I did that for a few years, and I came back to New York. I spent time in film production as a camera assistant, working on music videos and TV commercials and features here in New York. And then when everything went digital, like the film industry, when I was working in special effects, it was analog. It was model making and traditional, rotoscoping and all these different special effects techniques. They would get digital, the computer. Yeah. When that happened, I had to get back involved.
And so, I asked that question and I knew that. And I want our audience to know something. You are not the average video guy. Listen, people, he was out in Hollywood. All right. Special effects. This guy is a filmmaker, but he's taking his expertise and he's going to talk to us today about how to use video, which everybody knows they need, right? Few people know how to do it. A lot of people are scared of it, and you're going to show us how to do it effectively. So what I want to do is, first we want to talk about customer stories. So audience, type in hashtag customer stories, because this is what it's all about. And David, here's the question. How can businesses take their customer experiences and make it a powerful asset in their business? How can they take that story?
Well, it's so important. I really am glad that you bring that up, Rob, because there's so many amazing businesses out there, and they're not leveraging their customers' stories as part of their process. People don't know how great they are. And it's by sharing, social proof is so important today. We use it for literally everything that we do. So you want to be able to leverage those stories. That's really what your secret sauce, that's your superpower, is when you look at yourself against your competition. The only thing that makes you different are your customers. You really want to harness those stories. And, a lot of businesses are doing Google reviews. Highly recommend those. Get those testimonials. And for me, video testimonials is where it's at, because communication is so much more than the written word, or even like what I'm speaking right now. It's how your intonation, your body language, so much more. And so when you can get a customer on camera sharing their experience about working with you, and people can see them and hear them, it's transformative in terms of building trust.
Okay, so you're taking it that step further. So now here's for the audience's benefit too. I was saying at the beginning of the show how I was telling my story because I didn't know what to talk about when I met people. So I knew that people in general like love a good story. Like we always knew that person at the party, a friend of ours, somebody from school, they were just a great storyteller. Like they could tell the most boring story, but make it the most compelling story. And people would sit there and just be like, man, they just love being around that person. So I told stories. And what you talked about was the next thing I learned. I learned that when I was starting out, I actually was not after the client's money. I mean, to be fair, look, you're in business to make a profit, right? So we get that. But I wasn't all about the sale. I was all about getting them success just so I can have the story, because that story was the story I was going to tell to the next prospect. And if I can say, hey, I just ended up with so-and-so and I did this and I did this and this, and this was the result. You know what they did? Hey, this sounds great. What's the next step? So I connected those, but I didn't use video. We're going to get to that today. But first, I want to say hello to Yolanda Chin. She has been, now I've only been on this show for about a year and a half, Yolanda, and you've been with the show longer. She's an amazing, loyal fan of the show. Always appreciate Yolanda coming in from Texas. Yolanda, I was just in Houston over the weekend catching the Houston Rodeo. Anybody? Just go to the Houston Rodeo next year. It's amazing. But let's get on to the next question for David. We want to type in, this is huge. So I love this. Hashtag goldmine, everybody. Hashtag goldmine. So here's the $1 million question. Why do so many companies overlook the value of their customer stories, and how can they start using them effectively?
Well, I think they overlook them because it's a big lift, maybe they're not comfortable making that request. I think it's so important, especially if you're in a relationship-based business where it's like a consultative sale. You have that relationship with that client. You want to know that you did a good job, and if they're happy with you, that is the gold. You talked about goldmine. That is the gold. Is their success story is the gold for your business, and like you said, you pay that forward. And so I think people just don't know to do it. I think they just rely on the Google reviews, and hey, the Google reviews are nice, but they're not, we buy emotionally. And when you hear someone sharing their story on video, it hits you here, right? I saw a video on LinkedIn the other day, and literally within 30 seconds, I was moved by this woman's story. And so if you want to build that connection with a prospect, having it on video is so important. And I think people think, oh, video, it's expensive, it's complicated. Hey, we can shoot video with our smartphone. Now, I'm not, you can do DIY. I think you really want to know how to interview that person and pull that compelling story out of them. And so that's why our business exists. But get those stories. I mean, I see a lot of people, kind of like what we're doing here, but they'll have a Zoom call with a client and they'll record that and share that. So there's lots of ways that you can do this, whether it's your smartphone or you can do it with certainly with Zoom.
Yeah, thank you. And I love that you're putting the simplicity in there because I do think people go, oh, what camera should I use? I don't have a video camera. Like, use your phone. And, I remember when, we're talking about video in general, when I first started on LinkedIn a bunch of years ago, I didn't know what to do. Again, I was just like, I don't know. But I was just coming out of corporate America. And I thought when I was in corporate, it was very hard to get an interview. I come out of the creative industry as a graphic designer and a creative manager of teams. Very, very competitive, very few jobs. And I thought if they just met me, I would be able to, have my thoughts work for me, but it doesn't come through in a resume. So I remember going on LinkedIn and creating a video that introduced myself. This is way back when. Mm-hmm. And then when I started my own business, I did the same thing. I would do, 1 minute, 1.5, 2 minute snippets about, about branding, and that helped me connect with people. And here's what we're talking about. We're talking about trust. So hashtag community, put in hashtag trust, because everybody knows that trust is the thing you want that's going to get you happy, cooperative, fast paying, referral giving clients. So David, here's the question about trust, because everybody's trying to figure out how to get trust, right? How do I get trust? They think it's this manipulative thing to how do you get trust? You don't get it, you earn it. But listen, we want to talk about it in terms of what David's very proficient at. So let's ask, what makes an authentic customer story more persuasive and in raising trust than just traditional sales pitch?
Yeah. Well, I want to come back first to what you said about, making your own video. The profile video of yourself, people don't buy what you do, they buy what you do. And certainly having a video so people can get to meet you before they actually meet you, let's say in person or in a Zoom call or on a phone call, is so important. I mean, you have to remember that 90% of us search online before buying a product or service, and 70% of that buying decision happens online. And so when it comes to building that trust, here's the thing is the video, especially as it relates to the video testimonial, the one on, let's say on a website, its construct is really to help people understand where someone else was that worked with you, what you were able to do for them, and the results that they achieved. Because they're at the beginning of that journey. So if they can watch a video testimonial, let's say on your website, and they hear from someone that looks and sounds like them, that might be in the same industry or has the same issue in their business, and they hear them talk about that problem, they hear about what you did for them, and then they hear what results were possible for them, that's what builds the trust, because they get to see and hear that, hey, this company I could trust because they deliver on what they say they do. And so when you have more than one of them, it's just fuel on the fire, right? Because perception is reality. If you have 5 or 10 video testimonials from clients of yours raving about you, and they're looking at you versus another business that has nothing, who do you think they're going to choose? Yeah. Here's the thing that I want to just stress here, which is when you have a video testimonial, it's like having your best customer sitting there and talking to a prospect one-on-one and explaining to them all the great things about you. And you don't think if you had your best client sharing their story with them, that they're not engaged, that they don't have trust, that they don't want to move to the next level? It's a game changer for businesses.
Yeah. And just to reiterate, to our audience, again, David, his medium is video, but David's a business guy. We were talking before the show. David's all about results. And when it comes to business, look, I don't care. I meet all kinds of nice people, same as you did. We meet nice people networking, very nice people who we know or don't feel like they can get results for us, because the bottom line is my business has to make money, and every dollar that I put out there has got to bring me 4, right? That's the idea, right? That concept of every dollar is an investment. So if I know you can get me results, I'm more likely to hire you. So that's what you're saying, right? Results, proof of results get you hired. Yeah.
100%, because a lot of people think video is a nice to have, not a need to have. But based on the statistics I shared earlier, you need to build that trust as fast as possible. And the proof is in the pudding, right? Because people don't need videos. They need the results they provide for them. And so I don't really position myself as a video guy like you were talking about, Rob. I really position myself as a video sales consultant, because I show businesses how to drive revenue, how to get more referrals, how to get more leads by using video and storytelling. And so just, proof of the pudding, right? I have one of my recent clients, they started working with me, and we help the clients not only create this great, rich content, but how to use it, because it's not just about putting it on YouTube or putting it on your website. Video can be used at every part of the sales process and everywhere people go: social media, email marketing, direct mail, paid ads. Everywhere people go, you could be using your video test. So a client of mine, I taught her one of the strategies, use it as part of her proposal process. She shared a video testimony with a proposal. Guess what? 2 days later, got the sale. And when she asked the client, Why did you hire me over the other competitors? Because of the video testimonial. The proof is in the pudding. She got 100% ROI from investing in video storytelling within 1 week of having her first video testimonial. I mean, come on, like, it's amazing. Like,
so by the way, you see what David just did there? He just told the story of his client who got a client through using this. So look, I think we're at a place, on LinkedIn, we're all professionals. We're all, a lot of us are pretty seasoned in what we do, or on our way to being seasoned, have figured a lot of stuff out. And I don't think anybody's debating whether video works. They're not debating whether testimonials are really that important. But here's what I know is on people's minds, because it was always on my mind too. Let's get to this question right here. Audience, type in hashtag process, because process to me is everything. When I started out early and I was still figuring things out as a branding guy, I was getting results for clients, writing down the process of how I did it, repeating it with the next client, and then going back and honing the process. So what people are thinking about, and I know this, is if they're not people who are adept at video, they want to know what's the process. So what's the easiest way for people to start capturing and sharing these customer stories without big budget?
Mm-hmm. So the easiest way is just start doing it. I told you, we all have a video camera inside our smartphone. That's certainly a way to do it. And certainly, if you're on Zoom with folks, you can certainly do that. I believe so. And when it comes to branding, there's a thing what I call negative branding. You want to, that first impression is key. And so that's, people come to us when they really want that video testimonial to perform at a high level, right? There's video testimonials and video testimonials that drive sales. And so that's really the space that we play in, is to that performance characteristic that we were talking about. But if you have no budget, get those stories. You're on a Zoom call, ask your client some questions. And when you have the budget, invest in, professional video testimonials, because when you have the right testimony, you tell that story. You talk about process. In our process, you have to know the right questions to ask and how to weave that into a story. We edit it. We don't, so if you're gonna do this on your own, make sure you edit that video, because people have very limited time and they just want to, hey, just give me the bottom line. What do I need to know that's going to convince me to use you as opposed to someone else? And so you want to be editing, you want to know how to tell that story narratively in video, and you want to get great answers. And so that's what's built into our process. And then the strategies, of course, Rob, like, what's the point of a video? Like, a great video testimonial that no one ever sees is like not having the video testimony at all. So you got to have the strategy in the back end to really turn it into that sales engine for your business.
Okay, so you brought up editing, which I think it turns a lot of people off, right? They go, I don't have time for the editing. Granted, it takes a bit of time, but here's probably one of the top questions I know everybody has thought about, has been asked 1,000,000 times, and I've heard all kinds of answers. But my buddy Neil Wood asked this. He's asking, what's the ideal length of time for a video, especially on Google? Thank you, Neil. That's what everybody's thinking. David, what's the answer?
So the answer really is, it depends. One answer I share is the right length of a video is the video that someone watches till the end. Okay. And so it really depends on where that video is in the sales pipeline, where they are in the buyer's journey. So if they're at the top of the journey and, they're on social media, that video testimonial, that video content has to be really short, because you've got basically 5 seconds. And so when we do work with our clients and they're using it for lead generation, they're using it for social media, we're actually making a video testimonial that's 15 to 30 seconds in duration, because you're going to be lucky if you get 5 seconds. And we change how we edit that video, because you want to put the best storytelling at the beginning, because if you don't get them in those first 5 seconds, you're not going to get them in the next 5 seconds or the 5 seconds that come after that. So social media, 15 to 30 seconds, because people are swiping. Got to be disruptive, has to really tell something that's going to stop them in their tracks. When we're talking about the website, maybe in your LinkedIn profile, in a sales conversation, we typically put it between 90 seconds and 2 minutes. Here's the thing. We're telling the buyer's journey in that video. It takes roughly about 30 seconds to say the problems that you are having, 30 seconds to say what they did for me, and about 30 seconds to talk about the results of what happened. So that puts you at about 90 seconds. People are so between 90 seconds and 2 minutes. But you don't want to, again, the idea is make it as short as it can be, but you want to get them to build that trust. And so if you're expecting to build trust in 30 seconds, probably not going to happen. In social media, you're just trying to drive them to the website where you can build more trust with the longer form video.
So what I loved what David said, what you said, Dave, was the best length was one they watched to the end. When you said that, I was like, man, that's it. Because I'm going to tell you, and going back to your point about people don't have time. Now I'm on LinkedIn every single day. I'm networking there. In the morning, I'm commenting. I have posts going out. I'm meeting people. I'm DMing. I'm doing all this stuff. And I got to tell you, when I come across a video, I immediately go, how long is this going to take me? And I will make a decision. Now, if it's 3-4 minutes, that's just me, everybody. I'm like, I don't have much time. But if it looks compelling enough, like you said in the first 5 seconds, I'm like, all right, I'll sit through a minute of it. But look, if after a minute it's still compelling, the whole 3 minutes goes by, and I'm like, wow. And then what happens? Now that person's gotten into my head. Maybe I like their stuff. Maybe I like the post. Maybe I follow them. And so the job gets done. So thank you, Neil, for asking the $1 million question. And I still think it's not, people don't really get it because they want concrete, Dave, right? They want how many seconds pass. So, but that's not really how it works. So let's get into, we got a couple of minutes here. Actually, we're going to be winding down, but I want to ask one thing. And I think this is where you can really help people as far as, number one, we're getting them going. So people just grab your phone. I think probably some of the best advice I've ever heard, David, tell me if I'm wrong, is just start, right? Just do it. I know when I did my first video way back when, it was so bad.
Mm-hmm.
I thought I was being engaging and expressive, and I was talking like this, and I was so I worked on that. You build in a little expressiveness, you build in the gestures, you learn this stuff along the way, but it wouldn't have happened unless I did my first one. So just do it. But a little more past that, what's the difference? Okay, when we talk about the testimonials, right? Getting these video testimonies, capturing them. What's the difference between a weak testimonial and a compelling, trust-building one?
Well, I think we touched on this a little bit before, Rob, which is really telling the buyer's journey, and so if they know kind of what the pain points you solve and they can relate to those, and you really want to have multiple video testimonials because you want to be able to have ones that address different, pain points or different services that you have or different types of clients of yours. You might work with different you might work with older people or young people. So you want to make sure you have the right person in the seat and telling the right story. And then you're really telling them what happened for you. What's in it for me, right? People, it's all about them. They want to know what's in it for me. So if that video tells them what they need to know about what's going to happen for them, if they use that business, that's going to be really compelling. And that's where the editing comes into play, because we'll typically get about 12 minutes of content. We're only going to tell 90 seconds. So it's really important to know how to weave that story. In the editing, I know you said a little bit of overwhelm, scary about that. Find someone on Fiverr or Upwork, hire a professional company. The editing is key. Do not minimize that, because people are going to give a lot of information. You want it to be really tight, to the question earlier. And I know we're running out of time. I did want to talk to you about, we talked about this before the show, about personalized video messaging, which is, if you guys are on LinkedIn, if you're connecting with people on LinkedIn, I want to share a quick strategy with you that is going to make people take notice of you. You want to be disruptive today. There's a lot of noise in the marketplace. Are you making what's called personalized video messages, which are basically a 1-minute video that you're shooting with your smartphone and you're talking directly to that person? A lot of people are texting, DMing people with text, but you can, in LinkedIn, you can text a video to people, shoot a personalized emotional video, connect with people, use storytelling, tell your story in video, and I promise you're going to get a whole lot more interest in what you do and how you can help people.
Awesome. That's an amazing tip. Thank you for throwing that in there, because I know that when you're on LinkedIn, DMing is this world where people don't really get it. And I never thought, until I heard somebody talk about it, to send a short video, which makes so much sense. So thank you for that. So tell us, do you have an offer for our audience today, David?
Yeah, absolutely. So anyone who's on today, if you want to see how you can strategically use video storytelling in your business, you can go to the link. I think Rob will give it to you at remotevideotestimonials.com. And we will do a 30-minute consult for you. We'll look at your business exactly and give you the strategies that you need to know to take your business to the next level by using storytelling, by using testimonials, and building trust faster in your business.
Awesome. Really appreciate that. Listen, take advantage of David's offer, because I'm telling you, like I said, I've known David for 5 years or so. I know his background. I've seen his work. You know, we have been in a lot of the same networking events. I've seen him present. We've done events together. He's the real deal. So take him up on that 30 minutes. I promise you it will be time well invested. And where can everybody contact you, David? What's the best way to contact you?
Probably through the website, remotevideotestimonials.com. You can contact me there. My email address is david@remotevideotestimonials.com. So that's probably the best way to reach me. You can also reach me out on LinkedIn. Definitely connect with me on LinkedIn as well.
Awesome. That's the idea, folks. This is the Master Connector Show. You want to be connecting with people. You cannot really achieve anything really worthwhile without other people, without the help or the collaboration, or sometimes just the support of other people. So connect with David on LinkedIn. Click that link, go to his website, get his time. Like I said, it will be time well invested. David, thank you so much for coming today. Really appreciate it. Look forward to see you on LinkedIn.
Thanks, Rob. Great to be here.
Listen, everybody, that was absolute gold. You want to make sure that you're tuning in every week, because we are bringing you amazing, amazing people. And next week, hey, look, this is no different. Next week, April 2nd, The Power of Real Connection with Troy Hippolito, episode 205. Look, this guy, you want to look him up on LinkedIn. Troy's got some banging business. I can tell. I haven't met him yet, but I followed him. I've watched some of his stuff. Just as a guy that's making things happen. You want to level up your business. Don't miss next week's show, The Power of Real Connection, April 2nd, 1 p.m. Eastern time here on LinkedIn. And as always, if you want to sponsor, by the way, if you want to sponsor an episode like our buddy Russ Hedge did for this episode, go to masterconnector.show, click the sponsor an episode link. We can get you on here, get your name out there, connect you with people. That's the idea here, masterconnector.show. We're going to end here on a quick story. There's a story, if you never heard the story of Tom's shoes, right? Talk about a great story. I talked about it in my business. David talked about it in his business. But Tom's shoes, they started out with a story that they wanted to tell, and that was about helping people through shoes. So everybody knows this. If you don't know, you buy a pair of Tom's shoes, they send a free pair to somebody in need somewhere in the world. That's pretty powerful. That's a company on a mission, a company with a great story, great backstory. It raised the awareness, the revenue of the company, but it also raised the awareness of people in need, so that people want to help out. They want to pitch in. They want to be a part of the story that Tom Shoes is telling. Just a phenomenal, phenomenal story. And look, we want to be able to bring you value every single week. We want you here. We want you interacting, asking great questions, interacting with our guests. Get with them on LinkedIn. And look, we want you to be able to always be connecting, always be building community, always build the awareness around working with people. It's the Master Connector Show. We hope to see you next week on the Master Connector Show. Have a great day, everybody.
And you start to hear some of their challenges, and yes,
because it speaks to the core of who you are and what drives you forward. Because what makes you different is what drives